Hey y'all, it's Krypton Critics. I'm here to talk about the newest Netflix Marvel show, The Punisher. So, make sure I have Punisher comics to show off. And this show stars John Bernthal as Frank Castle himself, Karen Page, played by Deborah Ann Wall, Microchip is played by Yvonne Moss Bachrach, Billy Russo is played by Ben Barnes, uh, Dina Madani is played by Amber Rose Riva, not to be confused with the model Amber Rose. Uh, Sarah Lieberman is played by Jamie Ray Newman. Lewis Wilson is played by Daniel Weber. William Rollins is played by Paul Schulz or Schultz. Uh, Curtis Hoyle is played by Jason R. Moore, and Sam Stein is played by Michael Nathanson. So this show is connected with Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, and the combination of those characters and Defenders is all in the same world. It's most of the events that happen in each show, most of them take place in New York City in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Um, but even though they are connected, very frequently you can watch them and like not even have the rest of the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy not in your mind because just the characters alone they present in these shows are interesting enough and have very complex storylines and tackle different issues, understanding mind, body, society, all types of shit. So the show starts off, basically with the well, basically what happened in Daredevil season 2, where we meet Frank Castle. A lot of people say he was the greatest thing that was in that season. I will agree. I still loved a lot of other things that were in it, but I really did enjoy him, and I was somewhat skeptical of how what they would do with him for he season. I wasn't. I didn't think it was going to be bad by any stretch. I thought it was going to be really good. I didn't know it was going to be fucking amazing. So let's get into spoilers and what actually happens in the story. First episode, Frank Castle, he kills a bunch of members of the cartel, Kitchen Irish, and a few bikers. And after that, he feels pretty good. He feels like most of the revenge that he could get and most of the wrong that he could see uh, immediately after becoming the Punisher was done, and he can just take a seat back. But he didn't know there was going to be a plot that happened, that connects to his, times in service when he was a Marine serving in Kandahar, Afghanistan. Uh, so he does construction work under the name Peter. Uh, he just keeps swinging a sledgehammer into a wall, and you know he's kind of forcing other people to have unpaid overtime because he works so long, and all he needs is just a wall to hit, and he'll do it for half a whole day, and he'll just eat one sandwich. He doesn't talk pretty much to anybody. There's one Hispanic dude that kind of feels bad for him because a lot of the construction workers at this plant in New York, they're a bunch of douches that just get drunk and they don't know what to do with their money, and they just complain over bullshit. But this one Hispanic dude is kind of like he becomes the runt of the group, and they don't fully like accept him as one of the bros. They definitely don't accept Castle as that because they refer to him as the retard, and he doesn't. Once again, he just tries to keep to himself, so he doesn't have to kill anybody and be on any watch list because he's supposed to be considered dead at this point. Most of New York think that he just died at some point, and that's the story he has to run with. But then one of these douches that works at this plant, not the Hispanic guy, steps on his sandwich. And for me, that's enough grounds to get your ass beaten. You squish my sandwich, nigga. Mm-mm. Ooh. Ah. Mm. Anyway, so he gives this sandwich swish. Uh, Hispanic guy gets involved in a plot of getting back money to loan sharks, and they completely start failing at this point because they all suck at trying to be gangsters. Frank Castle doesn't like seeing the Hispanic dude being beat up, so he kills these bitches like none else, and it's awesome. And that's how the first episode ends. We start moving on to a plot of Dina Madani, who is starts off police officer. She becomes one of the heads of Homeland Security, and she's trying to figure out the mystery of this guy named Ahmed Zubair, who had died back in uh, Kunadar, Afghanistan, back when Castle was serving, and there's a lot of mystery of why was this why was this off the books? Where did this video come from? The video was leaked by this dude, Microchip, and he's like, when we first see him, he just seems like some kind of slutty guy. Then we find out he's been staying away from his family, and he's just been like watching them on computer, on computers and on cameras that he snuck in the house, and they think he's been dead for well over a year. Like, what the hell is up with this guy? And then we find out that he had to do this to keep his family safe and keep him safe. He had to fake his own death, much like Frank Castle did. They have a lot of similarities in their backstory of why they're here at this point. Frank Castle physically lost his family. They were killed at a carousel ride, and part of why is a little murky, and is more introduced of maybe this was a paid job by someone else to have these gangsters fight each other at this one location. We don't know. I don't know if they said explicitly, but they do like kind of put that in the air for the audience to absorb. Castle as this guy named Curtis, who's this black guy who served with him back in the day. He lost a leg, and he's been helping veterans that come back with things like guilt and post-traumatic stress disorder. And a big theme of this entire show is post-traumatic stress disorder. I think this is yes, there are parts that are a bit exaggerated, or maybe go a little too far if you're trying to understand everyone's point of view. But if you don't know like how much post-traumatic stress disorder goes into a veteran, I think this is like something that shows in a very haunting and disturbing way. They don't play this for laughs, especially with the character of Lewis. Now Lewis is the youngest guy that comes to the vets support group, similar to what Falcon had back in the Winter Soldier, and he was also a black guy that served in Afghanistan. Huh. Anyway, but gives him some hands-on help, trying to like help him cope with the trauma that he went through. And Lewis, they frequently call him the kid because he's like around 25, 26. He digs a hole in a pit in his backyard because he still lives with his father. His father doesn't know like what's happening to his kid. His kid doesn't want to take his medicine to calm him down and help deal with his nerves. And this kid starts becoming suicidal and like puts a gun in his mouth, and then he starts antagonizing one of the members that keeps coming back to the help meetings. This guy named O'Connor, who claims that he served back in Vietnam, but he didn't start serving until 1977, and the war. We were already out of that conflict by that point. He's also really ignorant he's like your stereotypical, like, oh, they're trying to take your gun and take your job here and here, and he just all that type of shit. They go on to the steps of like courthouse building in New York to like protest like American senators taking away the rights to have guns or some shit like that. Police officer comes over them like, you can't protest here, and because of white privilege and all that shit, Lewis is like, well, I pay your salary and I don't like you and you should get out of here. And he eventually does get arrested, but I'm telling you, niggas don't say that shit. We fear being shot by police officers way too much to tell a police officer, well, I pay your salary. We don't say that shit. Alright? I'm cool with white people, but that thing, makes me uncomfortable knowing that. So, Microchip and he used to work for NSA, and he got some information that they didn't want out, and once again he had to fake his death. It is nice to see that Castle, Frank Castle, starts, developing like kind of feelings for his family. He accidentally gets bumped by his Sarah Lieberman, Microchip's widowed wife. He helps fix her vehicle, fix the garage, fix the pipes, if you know what I mean. No, literally fix the pipes.